Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to explore something I find really fascinating. It's the Parashat Lech Lecha.
Mm. Hmm. And it's like a foundational text in Jewish tradition, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, I'll be honest with you. Like, if you're anything like me,
Yeah,
totally new to this, don't sweat it. This deep dive, it's going to be like your
express lane.
yeah, your express lane to understanding all this.
That's exactly it. We're going to break it down, all the core themes, the significance of Lech Lecha. And, even if you're coming in with zero background,
Yeah.
you'll be able to totally grasp the essence of it.
Right. Awesome. Okay. So first things first, right? What exactly is a parsha? I mean, it kind of sounds like some magical spell or something.
Well, it definitely has its own kind of magic to it. Think of a parsha as a weekly portion of the Torah.
Okay.
That's the central text of Judaism. And each parsha, it unveils a piece of this larger story.
Okay. And Lecha happens to be one of the most well-known, famous ones.
So it's like an episode in a series then.
Yeah.
Each one building on the last.
You got it.
Okay.
And Lech Lecha is particularly special because it sets the stage for so much that, follows in the rest of the Torah.
Interesting. So, okay, let's talk about the title, Lech Lecha.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean?
So literally, it translates to go forth.
Okay.
And this is like a lot of things in Jewish tradition, there are these layers of meaning here.
Okay.
It's not just about physically going somewhere. It's also about embarking on a journey inward.
So there's a deeper, more symbolic meaning then.
Absolutely. Lech Lecha, it's like this invitation to connect with your true self, your purpose. It's about uncovering who you really are and where you're meant to be going in life.
That's beautiful. Yeah. It's like a universal theme, even if you think about it outside of religion. It's this idea of going on a quest to find yourself.
Absolutely. And, in Lech Lecha, this whole theme plays out through the life of Abraham.
Okay.
Who is considered to be this pivotal figure in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
Yeah. Abraham. Okay. I know the name. Honestly, couldn't tell you much about him.
Oh, well, get ready to learn. Because Abraham, he's
Yeah.
the central character in this parsha. And the story begins with this divine instruction for Abraham.
Okay.
And he's told to leave his homeland and journey to a new land.
So there's the physical journey then, and this inner search for meaning.
Exactly, yeah.
That's fascinating.
And the destination of this journey is the Promised Land.
Okay.
And that plays a really crucial role in the story.
Why is the Promised Land so important?
So it's not just some piece of land, okay?
Yeah.
It's actually described as the essence of the world. It's a place with this deep spiritual significance. And for Abraham, it represents this connection to something greater than himself.
I see. Okay. So we've got this epic journey, a destination loaded with symbolism. And I'm guessing, things don't go completely smoothly for Abraham. Right?
Well, no great journey is without its challenges, right?
True.
And Lecha highlights some of the trials that Abraham faces, including this famine that strikes the land.
So even in the Promised Land, there are struggles.
Even in the Promised Land. And so this famine, it forces Abraham to make a really tough choice. He decides to descend to Egypt.
Egypt, isn't that the opposite of the Promised Land?
Symbolically, yeah.
Okay.
Egypt represents a place that's all about materialism, and it's this departure from the spiritual focus of the Promised Land.
Okay, so this is where things get really interesting then. What happens to Abraham in Egypt? Does he get seduced by all the, worldly distraction?
In a way, yeah. There's this interesting detail about how Abraham, he was initially unaware of his wife Sarah's beauty until they get to Egypt.
Hold on. He didn't even realize his own wife was beautiful.
That's wild. It's a detail that really highlights the shift in Abraham's perspective as he enters Egypt. He becomes much more aware of the material world.
Okay.
And this newfound awareness leads to some complicated situations.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What happens?
Well, the Pharaoh becomes enamored with Sarah and takes her for himself.
Whoa, hold up. This is getting dramatic.
Yeah, and the drama doesn't stop there. This sets off this whole chain of events. It includes plagues that afflict Egypt.
Oh, wow.
Ultimately, it forces the Pharaoh to let Sarah go.
So Abraham's arrival in Egypt, causes all this chaos.
There's definitely, this disruption of the order. But here's the twist.
Okay.
This seemingly negative chain of events actually has positive consequences in the grand scheme of things.
Wait, Hold on. How can plagues and a pharaoh taking someone's wife be a good thing?
It's all about perspective.
Okay.
Think of it as setting the stage for the future exodus of the Israelites from Egypt. Abraham's trip to Egypt, even with all the rough parts, is seen as a necessary step in this much, much larger plan.
Okay, I'm starting to see how even the difficult parts of the story might fit into like a bigger picture.
That's exactly the point. Lech Lecha, it challenges us to look past the surface and consider how challenges can ultimately serve a greater purpose.
So even Abraham, this foundational figure, right?
Yeah.
He makes mistakes, faces setbacks.
He does.
Ah.
And that brings us to a really important concept in this parsha, the idea of karoza.
Karoza, what's that?
Okay, imagine being so in tune with your purpose that it's like there's this higher power guiding your every move. That's the essence of karoza. The patriarchs, guys like Abraham, they were seen as these spiritual vehicles, always connected to the divine will.
So like always in sync with God's plan.
That's the idea. But Abraham's actions in Egypt, especially the whole, decision to lie about Sarah, it suggests a shift from being this karoza to exercising his own free will.
So maybe the mistake was actually a choice.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. And the text leaves that open for interpretation. And this raises a significant question about, the whole relationship between free will and divine providence.
Oh, that's a big one. Are we in control of our choices, or is everything already decided?
Yeah. Lecha doesn't give a simple answer.
Okay.
Which is part of why it's so, enduring and fascinating. It kind of suggests that while, everyday choices might be swayed by stuff outside our control, choices that have to do with our spiritual lives, those involve our true free will.
So when it comes to our spiritual path, then we have more, agency, more control.
That's one way to interpret it. And this connects back to the idea that even our missteps, our slip-ups, they can lead to spiritual growth. Maybe going to Egypt was, necessary for Abraham to exercise his free will,
right?
Be a part of his journey.
Like those times where we make what seems like a bad choice, but it ends up teaching us something valuable.
Exactly. And that takes us right back to the core message of Lech Lecha, go forth. It's all about embracing the journey, all the ups, the downs, recognizing that even our challenges, they can be opportunities for us to grow. What's really fascinating is how Lecha links individual growth to the concept of legacy.
Legacy, like what we leave behind.
Yeah, but not just stuff, material possessions. It's more about the impact we have, the values we pass on. Remember how we talked about the promised land being the essence of the world?
Yeah, that really struck a chord with me.
Well, the idea is that by connecting with our own essence, right? By going on that Lech Lecha journey ourselves, we're contributing to the essence of the world.
Okay.
Our actions have this ripple effect.
Yeah.
They influence future generations.
So it's like our individual journeys are all threads in this massive tapestry.
Exactly. And, in Jewish tradition, lineage is a really big deal. Abraham is considered to be the starting point of a spiritual lineage that continues through his descendants.
Like a spiritual family tree.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
And the idea is that each generation has this responsibility to carry the torch, to build upon the foundation that was laid by those who came before them.
Okay. I can see how that adds a lot of weight to individual choices.
Right.
If you're aware that your actions are impacting future generations, that's huge.
It is. And Lech Lecha, it highlights this. It shows how Abraham's journey, even with all the flaws and the detours, it ultimately sets the stage for the future of the Jewish people.
Okay.
His going down to Egypt, the challenges he faces, it all feeds into the bigger story.
It's there's no coincidences in this story.
That's a great way to put it. The text encourages us to look for a deeper meaning in events, even the ones that seem random or unfortunate.
But how do we apply this to our own lives? Most of us aren't, facing famines or pharaohs.
True, but we all run into challenges. True. We all make choices that shape our path. And Lecha suggests that even those small, seemingly insignificant moments can have a ripple effect.
So every choice matters.
In a way, yeah. It's not about obsessing over every little thing, but just recognizing that, we're all contributing to this bigger tapestry.
That's actually quite inspiring. It makes you feel like you're like part of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, it does. And that sense of connection, that's a big part of what Lech Lecha is all about, you know? It's about understanding our place in the grand scheme of things, both as individuals and as part of this lineage.
Okay, but going back to free will, if we are all part of this, like, bigger plan,
Right.
how much choice do we really have?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Lecha touches on this. It presents two contrasting ideas about how divine will, like, operates in the world.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
One perspective is that it's all preordained.
Okay.
God has a plan. We're just, playing our roles.
So we're basically puppets.
Yeah, that's one way to see it. But the Parsha also shows another view, one that emphasizes free will. It suggests that God gives us the capacity to make real choices, especially when it comes to, like, our spiritual lives.
So it's like a bit of both. We have free will, but within a larger framework.
That's one way to bring those two views together.
Okay.
And this whole tension between free will and divine providence, it's something that Jewish thinkers have been grappling with for centuries,
No easy answers here, huh?
Not really.
Yeah.
But that's part of what makes it so fascinating, right?
Yeah.
It's not about dogma. It's about wrestling with these big questions and finding meaning in that struggle.
This whole discussion is making me think about those times in my life where I felt completely lost,
Yeah.
Maybe those were like Lecha moments in disguise.
That's a really, really insightful connection. And I think it speaks to the universal themes that the Parsha explores. This whole idea of Lecha, of going forth.
Yeah, it's something we can all relate to. Doesn't matter your background.
Right. It's about personal growth, facing challenges, figuring out our purpose. Those are all deeply human experiences.
Exactly. Lecha offers a way to think about those things.
Okay.
It encourages us to see our lives as journeys, to embrace the ups and downs, and to recognize that even our mistakes, they can be chances to grow.
It's almost like a blueprint for a meaningful life, then.
You could see it that way. It's not like a step-by-step guide,
Okay.
but it offers insights and perspectives that can help us navigate our own journeys.
And this idea of lineage, right? Our actions impacting future generations. That's pretty powerful, too.
It is. It reminds us that we're not just isolated individuals.
Yeah.
We're part of a bigger story. Our choices, they ripple outward. They create a legacy that goes beyond our own lifetimes.
So Lecha is like a reminder to think bigger than ourselves, to consider the impact we're having on the world.
Exactly. And that brings us to one of the most, I'd say, intriguing
and maybe like controversial aspects of the Parsha, the idea that even our sins, our missteps, they can ultimately contribute to something good.
What, sinning is a good thing now? I need to hear more about this. Okay, I'm all ears. How can, like, sinning possibly be a good thing?
Well, it's not quite as straightforward as that, right? Well, the concept we're dealing with here, it's called tikkun.
Tikkun. All right, you've officially lost me. What does that even mean?
Okay, so think of tikkun as a kind of cosmic repair.
Okay.
In Jewish mysticism, the idea is that when we sin, we create an imbalance in the spiritual realm.
So it's like we've made a spiritual mess.
Yeah.
And we got to clean it up.
Exactly. And tikkun is the process of, like, repairing that damage, of restoring that harmony.
Okay, but how do we actually, like, do that? Did, like, extra prayers or something?
It's more than just, like, rituals. Tikkun is about, like, really understanding the root cause of our mistakes.
Okay.
And then actively working to change our behavior.
So it's about, like, personal growth, taking responsibility, and making amends.
Yes. And the idea is that by doing this inner work, we not only, like, fix the damage we've done, but we elevate our souls.
Okay.
And contribute to elevating the whole world.
So our mistakes can actually become, like, catalysts for spiritual growth.
Yeah.
That's powerful stuff.
It is a powerful concept, and it's something that Lecha kind of hints at through the story of Abraham's trip to Egypt.
Right. Remind me, how does Egypt fit into all of this again?
Okay, so remember, Egypt represents materialism.
Yeah.
That departure from the spiritual focus of the Promised Land. Abraham going there, lying about Sarah, that's seen as a misstep.
Right. But it leads to the Israelites ending up in Egypt. And that sets the stage for the Exodus.
Exactly. And that's where tikkun really comes in.
Okay.
The Israelites being in Egypt, all that suffering, and then that eventual liberation.
Yeah.
It's seen as this process of refinement, spiritual growth, that ultimately brings them closer to God.
So even the bad stuff, the slavery, the hardship, It serves a purpose.
That's the idea. It's not about like glorifying suffering, right?
Right.
It's recognizing that those challenges, they can push us to grow
Yeah.
and lead to a deeper connection with, the divine.
Wow, this parsha is really full of surprises. It's about personal growth, legacy, free will versus destiny, A&D cosmic repair.
Yeah,
I'm starting to see why it's so important.
exactly. Lecha covers so much. But at its core, it's a story about hope.
Hope. How so?
Because the concept of tikkun, it tells us it's never too late to change,
Mm-hmm.
to fix our mistakes, to elevate ourselves and the world around us. It's a reminder that we all have that power.
So even if we mess up, even if we make, bad
Right.
choices, there's always that chance for redemption.
Absolutely. And that's incredibly empowering, don't you think? Lech Lecha is a reminder that the journey continues, and there's always potential for growth, for transformation, no matter where we are on that path.
I love that. It's like saying every day is a new chance to go forth,
Mm-hmm.
to create something good.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe your journey will contribute to tikkun, to that cosmic repair, in ways you never imagined.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive into Lech Lecha. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on these journeys we take
Yeah,
and how everything is connected.
I'm glad to hear that. And remember, the main takeaway, embrace your own Lech Lecha moment. Go forth on your own journey of self-discovery. And remember, even those missteps, they can be opportunities for tikkun, for cosmic repair.
Beautifully said.
Mhm.
So whether you're facing some big life decision or just trying to figure out, what's for dinner, remember, even the smallest choices can have a ripple effect and contribute to something so much bigger than yourself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Lech Lecha. And until next time, keep exploring.